got a lot to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, to start with some great news, the Peruvian Congress is going to have another hearing with the Nazca mummies, or about the Nazca mummies. Isn't that awesome? From J. Alberto, the Peruvian Congress has officially initiated the second public hearing for the study and regulation of the royal tridactyl beings of Nazca, with 29% hybrid DNA unknown to human science. Yeah, it's going to be in April 2025. So, very excited to see that hearing. I'm hoping we'll have less disinformation from the Ministry of Culture like we did last time. They were giving equal airtime to the Ministry of Culture as to the real scientists doing the real research on the actual mummies. The Ministry of Culture was only showing the research done on fake dolls that nobody were claiming were anything other than dolls. They were dolls. The guy that made them said, hey, they're dolls. But the Ministry of Culture were studying them and trying to debunk the whole Nazca mummy thing through the study of these dolls that were obvious dolls that, again, nobody said was anything other than dolls. So just pure disinformation. Meanwhile, the real scientists doing the actual work on the actual specimens, whenever they would give their testimony, it seemed like their microphones were having malfunctions, which was a little suspicious. So hopefully we'll have a better time of it in the next go round. But the Nazca mummies, which is UFO disclosure. They're coming back around to the Peruvian Congress, and I love it. I can't wait to see what the new research shows and all of that. Good times, guys. Good times. Meanwhile, there's an interesting video being shared by JMEX of these weird crystal structures left in the wake of either the mystery drones or the mystery fog. Now, this is in an area that was experiencing the mystery fog, but she also hashtagged Dior handbags on this post. And, Dior handbag is how people were getting around the mystery drone ban on TikTok. There was some sort of, shadow ban or whatever on that subject, which is suspicious. And so they were using Dior handbags as the hashtag talking about the mystery drones. And so she hashtagged, or whatever they do on TikTok, Dior handbags on this weird phenomenon. So maybe she just did that because, maybe the mystery drones and the mystery fog are connected or something like that. Unclear if this is more to do with the mystery fog or the mystery drones. Either way, really interesting. These crystal structures were left, and she was finding this on her walk. So what the heck is going on here? Is this anomalous? Is this residue left by the fog? Is this residue left by the mystery drones? Thinking about that angel hair, that sort of thing, residue left by UFOs. What is going on there, guys? Yeah, so let me know your input on all of that. Meanwhile, we've got Stephen Greer is trying to give Donald Trump a briefing about UFOs. And John Greenwald has a great joke here. Breaking, the White House extended an invitation to Dr. Greer for a meeting, but was quickly canceled due to concerns Pennsylvania Avenue couldn't accommodate Greer's head. A huge building built around a giant UFO was thought of as an alternative spot for the meetup. Problem is, no one can find it but one man, and he ain't talking. Sorry, Ross. I love you. Everybody wants to know where that giant UFO is, but Ross is not talking. And hey, I totally understand why. He is a journalist, and they are obligated to preserve, their people, their people's secrecy and privacy. And yeah, he can't talk about it. He can't talk about it. He says there are other reasons why he can't talk about it as well, having to do with safety, and if people knew where this was, people might get hurt trying to get it. So, Ross is being a conscientious journalist and not disclosing that location, as frustrating as that is, because obviously that's UFO disclosure. But hey, we don't need a giant UFO because we got bodies, y'all. We've got bodies. We've got bodies of alien human hybrids in Peru. But I don't know if that is what Stephen Greer is going to talk about or wants to talk about. Probably not. But this is Stephen Greer's letter to Donald Trump. Since the 1950s, the UAP subject has been handled by a corrupt deep state transnational organization whose power has grown to a level that is an imminent threat to national security and international peace and security. And he goes on, says, please feel free to contact me at any time. I am the world's leading expert on this subject. There is not a distant second. This is that big head that John Greenwald was talking about. I got to repeat that. Greer says, I am the world's leading expert on this subject. There is not a distant second. I will provide any assistance, advice, and evidence that you and your administration require. Oh, love it. Oh, that's hilarious. Stephen Greer is hilarious. Yeah, unintentionally hilarious, but he is an expert. I don't think he's the leading expert. He doesn't even acknowledge that alien abductions exist. And I made an entire video a few weeks ago detailing the many reasons why he is wrong and why it is not all military abductions. In fact, if you research alien abductions in any depth, it's laughable that he can get away with that obvious disinformation or misinformation if we're going to be generous to Stephen Greer. But yeah, alien abductions, or at least NHI abductions, are a thing, and it's a vast, vast program that countless people have undergone. So yeah, to spread disinformation about that is wrong and bad, and shame on you, Stephen Greer, for doing that. But that aside, I understand where he's coming from. He does not want people to be fearful of the phenomenon. And so he puts out this disinformation, blaming humans for all of this stuff, and not the beings. But the beings are behind most of the abductions. Yeah, see the statistics on the numbers of people involved in this, and you'll see why it can't be the military, as well as various other reasons. Not to say that there aren't military abductions, there absolutely are, but even in some of those cases, it appears like the beings are involved in that. But Greer has done a lot of good for the subject, and although I do have a lot of problems with him, I would love for him to brief the president on UFOs. However, I have to wonder if Ross Coulthart is right, and that Trump has been briefed on the subject and knows about it, which is why he's putting out the disinformation about the mystery drones, because, yeah, he knows, and he can't go there. And that's no shade on President Trump. It's not an anti-Trump thing. No president has ever been able to go there. No president, if they're read into the subject at all, has ever been able to talk about it. But how deep does the rabbit hole go? Stephen Greer believes that, JFK was assassinated over the subject.
President Kennedy, 100% we know, was killed over this issue.
No way.
Yes.
Please divulge if you can.
The way this works is there are documents that are top secret that the president or a CIA director could access, right, with clearance. And then there's the black hole of Calcutta, this black hole that they put things in that you cannot penetrate, even if you're the president. So what I'm going to be curious to see is if all those files that come out actually have the essence of this. So President Kennedy was going to get to the bottom of this, right? Because he's a very strong-willed guy. He was the president of the United States. And they said, so he said, yes, I am. This cabal of sociopaths said, no, you're not. And he kept pushing and pushing. And they eventually just decided it'd be easier if they assassinated him.
So yeah, Greer says it's 100% lock that JFK was killed over this issue. I don't think that we know that. Greer might know that, or know that. But Danny Sheehan has a completely different version of events where JFK was killed over something completely different. And so I don't think it's 100% certainty that JFK was killed over this. There is some evidence that, maybe he was killed over this, but we certainly don't know that with any certainty. And there are definitely completely plausible scenarios that, he was killed over something completely different. Go see Dana Sheehan's information on that. As well as others. Others have different scenarios that they've laid out that sound completely plausible, that are also, mundane reasons why JFK was murdered. But again, not having anything to do with UFOs. But if JFK was murdered over UFOs, that does go some way toward explaining why presidents aren't talking about this and can't talk about this. Ross Coulthart has said that Trump was read into the full Monty of the UFO secrets, or a lot of the Monty, and his life was threatened over this issue when he wanted to go forward with this information. Is that true? Who knows? Brigadier General and co-founder of Israel's space program, Haim Eshed, said that Trump was indeed read into the full Monty of everything, even to the point of knowing about the Galactic Federation and all of that sort of thing. And heck, Haim said that many of the leaders around the world knew about the Galactic Federation. And when Trump wanted to know, when Trump found out about this, he wanted to go public with this, but was talked out of it. Ross says not talked out of it, threatened out of it. And, Greer gives us a possible reason why somebody could be threatened out of it, right? But is that what happened? Who knows? Either way, I would love for Trump to get more information about UFOs if he wasn't read into all of this. He clearly needs it because if he wasn't read into it, then he has bought the disinformation put out by the control group that the mystery drones, for example, are FAA approved craft. So, let me know if you think that he's just not interested in the subject and that he's accepting what he is being told, or if he has been read into the program and is now obligated to lie about it. I don't know, guys. Think Tank is sharing an interesting video. I think this might come from Russia, where this plane is flying by an orb. Check it out. Is there any audio? Okay, check it out. All right, there's the orb. Just kind of hanging out there doing its orby thing or UFO thing. It looks like it may have more of a shape to it than an orb. I can't tell if that's like spherical or something else. Now, could that be a balloon or something like that? Hanging out in the sky doing its balloon thing? Or is that something more anomalous? Let me know what you think that is. Is that a mystery drone? Is that, one of the many UFOs that have, set up camp in the sky and served as a possible danger to air traffic? What's going on there, guys? Let me know your thoughts. Think Tank also shares this cool UFO video. Totally lawful FAA research drone giving birth to other drones before being blasted by U.S. military. And when Think Tank is asked where this came from, he says it was deleted by Reddit mods almost immediately, but I have a scrapper which saves everything. So we're unable to track down the source of this video, so take it with a grain of salt. But it is definitely a compelling video, and if it was deleted by Reddit mods, if this video is being suppressed or was being suppressed, then, interesting, right? Okay, so you can see this line of lights, and indeed it looks like there's orbs coming out of another orb. I don't think that could be explained by flares. Yeah, boom. So we got orbs coming out of another orb, and then boom. Yeah. So is this a military test? Are they sending up flares out there or something up there for target practice? Is that what's going on? And this is totally mundane? Or are we looking at something way more interesting where there are orbs giving birth to other orbs and then being fired upon by the military? Let me know what you think we're looking at here, guys. Meanwhile, I thought this was interesting. Have you guys heard about Charles McNeil? He goes by Whistleblower on Twitter, and he is in prison right now But he has been very vocal in the community, and he's done a few interviews on podcasts. And Richard Doty says that he may be legit. And I think that's interesting. Obviously, Richard Doty is a problematic figure to say the least. But he has actually seemed to help people like John Stewart in his own research, which I know will color people's opinions on John's research. But, people like Richard Dolan have taken John's research very seriously and now believes that the alien interview, for example, is legit. And Richard Doty was a part of all of that, for good or bad. Has he turned a new leaf, and is he now on the side of the righteous instead of the cover up? That's always been the eternal question with Richard Doty. But he says that Charles McNeil is legit. So if you've been paying attention to Whistleblower on Twitter, that's interesting. Charles has reached out to me a few times and wanted to be on the show. But when I learned he was in prison, I was like, maybe not, maybe not. But there are people that take his information very seriously. So let's listen to Richard Doty for a minute.
So what has he shown you? Because he says that you believe him wholeheartedly. What has he shown you to make you believe that what he's saying is true at all?
Well, he hasn't shown me anything. His former handler, Robert May, retired OSI agent. He passed away. He was the one that told us about Charles. Charles was recruited into a program called Society Hike. It was a program back in the 90s, probably 80s, 90s. I wasn't involved in it, but there were OSI agents or intelligence officers in it where they would recruit teenagers. And recruiting, I mean, they would just mentor teenagers to develop him into the intelligence career field. They'd pick a candidate or a teenager that had certain qualities that could be used in the intelligence career field.
Anyway, he goes on and he says that once Charles was in prison, and obviously he was out of this program, but he vouches for Charles. He doesn't know Charles, but he vouches for him because he knows his handler and was actually told about Charles McNeil. So, obviously it's Richard Doty. So let me know if you think that speaks to Charles's credibility or if it speaks against Charles's credibility. And let me know if you would like him to appear on Cosmic Road, because he's been asking if I would be interested in having him on the show. So let me know if you would like to hear from him. I've gone over some of his information before and some of his former tweets or X's, whatever we're supposed to call him now. So yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Last but not least, proof that even wildcats are cats. Yeah, if it fits, if I sit, I fit. No exceptions. It's a box. You got to get in that box, cat. If there's a box and a cat can fit in it, look at that. Is that a cougar? What is that? Is that a bobcat? I don't know cats. I've got cats though, but I don't have a bobcat. All right, let me know what you think about this awesome wildcat finding a box and everything else covered today in the comments below. Like and subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter and Discord and Rumble links below. Buy a t-shirt, buy a book. I'm a science fiction and fantasy novelist. If you enjoy that kind of book, go check out the links below. Become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much. Channel members are, not just rock stars, but they also often get to see videos hours before anybody else. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.